Welcome, beautiful friends, to the WOM Mastery on Massive Christ Eve. I have my Massive Christ clown nose Christmas tree. Isn't this nice? Looks like an ice cream cone. Wow. It's the cone that keeps on giving. So, welcome. Tonight we're going to conclude. Wow, I still have channeling on that slide. I fixed the one at the end and not the one at the beginning. You can fix that real quick, can't you? Thank you. So tonight we're going to complete our last deepening of Lesson 10. The way is easy and without effort. Who has felt a sense of relief in your being while working with this lesson? Damn, that is welcome stuff, isn't it? You know, we didn't really get what still pastures or still waters and green pastures meant back then, so I'm joyful that he illuminated that for us in this lesson. The truth is already true. Oh. Whew. It's not my responsibility to make it true. I just get to choose to be in perfect alignment with it. And then let love do what love does, and that is extend itself. That's so exciting. Okay, here we go. A friend of mine, my beautiful friend Deborah, sent me this. This is Jeshua. See this? There's the prodigal son sitting on the bench. See, he's got his pack over there, his roll. He's been journeying through time and space, homeless. And Jeshua says, no, I'm not talking about Twitter. I literally want you to follow me. You just wonder what 10 million, Awaken Christ are going to do on this planet with all these incredible communion and communication technologies. It's going to be something to see. But we're going to start tonight with just a couple of quotes about Christmas out of the Course in Miracles. Cindy?
The sign of Christmas is a star, a light in darkness. See it not outside yourself, but shining in the heaven within, and accept it as the sign of the time of Christ has come. He comes demanding nothing. No sacrifice of any kind, of any one, is asked by him. In his presence, the whole idea of sacrifice loses all meaning, for he is host to God. And you need but invite him in, who is there already, by recognizing that his host is one, and no thought alien to his oneness can abide with him there. Love must be total to give him welcome, for the presence of holiness creates the holiness that surrounds it. No fear can touch the host who cradles God in the time of Christ. For the host is as holy as the perfect innocence which he protects, and whose power protects him. This Christmas, give the Holy Spirit everything that would hurt you. Let yourself be healed completely, that you may join with him in healing, and let us celebrate our release together by releasing everyone with us. Leave nothing behind, for release is total, and when you have accepted it with me, you will give it with me. All pain and sacrifice and illness will disappear in our relationship, which is as innocent as our relationship with our Father, and as powerful. Pain will be brought to us and disappear in our presence, and without pain, there can be no sacrifice. And without sacrifice, there love must be.
Those are just beautiful, aren't they? This second one begins with, this Christmas, give the Holy Spirit everything that would hurt you. You can join with your mind or look, and you would probably get a very, very long laundry list of things that would hurt you. I thought I'd just give you a quick reminder. Lesson 281, I can be hurt by nothing but my thoughts. Give your entire mind that which thinks it thinks. Because everything else that you would think could threaten you, everything else you think you are, will be stemming from those thoughts. Nothing can hurt you but our thoughts. Are you willing to abandon the sense of self that is created within the thinker, within your mind, and let that be illuminated by the Christ within? That'd be a lot of fun. You might want to check it out. Okay, the axioms tonight, we're going to skip over those. I think everyone here tonight is a repeat. If someone's starting the way of mastery at this lesson 10, please go back to number 1 and begin again. But we're not going to talk about the axioms tonight. But we are going to abide as Christ on Christ Mass Eve. How fun is that?
Begin now to utilize some time each day, without letting a day go by, in which you sit with yourself. Sit with you and start by acknowledging that you are one with God. Give yourself 5 minutes to choose, to practice choosing, how you will experience sitting in a chair. Practice sitting in a chair as an infinite creator of exactly what you are experiencing in your emotional field. Utilize this very process as a symbol of preparing the mind for the dropping of a pebble into it, out of which will reverberate the vibrations or ripples that will come back to you. Therefore, where you are in this moment, look around. Look at the objects that you see. Look at the people that you see around you, if there are any. Whatever sounds may be coming into your field of awareness, whatever pictures or ideas you may hold of what you are or what the world is, these are all fleeting and temporary illusions. They will pass away, and begin passing away the moment they were created. Look at all that is around you, and decide what value it holds for you. Will you see it as something that you must have in your experience? Or will you choose to see it as something you've playfully drawn to yourself? You appreciate it, and it can be gone tomorrow, and your peace will not be disturbed. Which way will you view the world? It begins with 5 minutes, in which you acknowledge that you can create whatever experience you want, as a feeling that floods through your awareness, as a quality of thought that you allow to keep repeating in the mind. You can sit in a chair as an awakened Christ now. For just 5 minutes, experience yourself as Christ, crystallizing a body as a temporary teaching and learning communication device, plopping itself into a chair in a totally neutral corner of creation, because you want to have the experience of sitting blissfully at peace in your perfect knowledge of your union with God in this moment.
You can sit in a chair as an awakened Christ now. Doesn't require the ego's permission, doesn't require the thinker's approval. It requires nothing save your simple choice. Because the mind may not agree and protest does not make the fact that you are the Christ not true. So enjoy your 5 minutes if you wish. I'm going to. Shanti Cristo. Welcome back. I got a little overdone and went a little over. Hope that was okay. Okay, here we go with the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic.
Avun, the Boshmaya, Nita Kadash Shamar, Tete Malkuda, Neve Sivinach, Akina, the Boshmaya, O Baraha, Haulan, Lachman, Zunkanan, Yaumana, Boshwoklan, Halpin, Akina, Daphanan, Shwakin, Il Hayabin. Ula talan el nision, el pasan membisha. But all the lachim el kuda, uhaila, utish bhakta. La alam, amin, amen.
Father, Mother of the cosmos, shimmering light of all, focus your light within us as we breathe your holy breath. Enter the sanctuary of our hearts, uniting within us the sacred rays of your power and beauty. Let your heart's desire unite heaven and earth through our sacred union. Help us fulfill what lies within the circle of our lives today. Forgive our secret fears, as we freely choose to forgive the secret fears of others. Let us not enter forgetfulness, tempted by false appearances. For from your astonishing fire comes the eternal song which sanctifies all, renewed eternally in our lives and throughout creation. We seal these words in our hearts, committed in trust and faith. Amen.
Okay, here we go. I just love that we're starting tonight with "Here, beloved friends, is the way to the truth that sets you free."
Here, beloved friends, is the way to the truth that sets you free. You must absolutely become wholly committed to being awake for no other reason than that you have realized that you have no other choice. You have already made them all, and they've only led to pain. That yourself is calling out to be recognized for what it is, an awakened master, the presence of Christ in you, that would inform every step, inform every decision, inform the quality of your perception, inform the very nature of your forever expanding, transparent consciousness. For it is your consciousness alone that can reach out and embrace all created things until you literally realize that all things have arisen from within you. That's how big you are. That's how grand you are. And why? Because that's all you are. You are the ocean from which waves and waves of dimensions and worlds have arisen. That mind is what you are required to let be in you, even as once it was within me, as I walked upon your earth. Do not make it difficult. And whenever you hear of a teacher teaching this, or a teacher teaching that, ask yourself this: do they offer me simplicity or complexity? Do they offer an ordinary peace, or must I have several trappings around me? Do they give me complex meditations and prayers and things to do, or do they simply remind me of the truth and ask me to rest in it? Will they tell me that I need to go on 1,000 pilgrimages? Or do they remind me that when I make my cup of tea in the morning, heaven is present, if I will remember who is making the tea? Christ is.
Our theme for tonight: do not make it difficult. all of that will be arising from your separated consciousness that wants to remain in charge. This first paragraph, yourself, your truth, your Christedness is calling out to you to be recognized. Because it's already an awakened master. The cosmic joke is every one of us in our creation was created infinite already, whole already. We're using that power to create our experience of littleness. That's the joke of the whole thing. So if we make it hard, we're efforting to try and get back to what's already true. And it's all our efforting that it's taken for us to pull the deception off. So it's about just relaxing and letting the mind that thinks it knows anything go. So you understand why the peace passes all understanding? Because yourself would inform your every step, would inform your every decision, would inform the quality of your perception, would inform the very nature of your forever expanding transparent consciousness. So I, as the little body mind that thinks, needs do nothing. I mean, you can tell it's been really working hard to get all these metaphysical principles and to master these pathways and to memorize course lessons so that there'd be something left for it to do. There's one thing that you can turn all of the thinking mind's attention to, and that would simply be gratitude. That it need do nothing else save say, thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. The truth is true and I don't need the effort to make it so. That mind that you are required to let be in you as it was once when Jeshua walked the earth. That's the only way. And the only way to let that mind be in you is to become absolutely wholly committed. In the Course in Miracles, he asks for a little bit of willingness. He's telling you now, the little bit of willingness has got you to a point where hopefully you're ready to give absolute, total willingness without fear. But nothing less than absolute willingness is going to get it done. You can't have 75% God and 25% separate me and think you got the magic recipe for the kingdom. It's all in or all out. If you're not all in, just know you're all out. And I've had people come to me and go, you know, I have never been all in at anything, ever. Can anybody relate to that? I mean, you always got a backup plan. You got contingencies. You just never go all in. Well, guess what? You were going all in at not being all in. So you already know how to do all in. So we were doing it the whole time. So really turn all of your beingness to this. We've journeyed through time and space and we've made all these decisions that lead to pain. You've only found your way to this pathway or one like it because the soul has recognized, okay, I'm done with time and space. Every checkbox has been checked. Many times. It's time to simply let go of all of that which was misperceived and let yourself do what the self does, and that's to create. So when it arises in your mind, how? There's a lot of energy in our separated consciousness. So how do I do this? 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 That's the little I going, God, please give me something to do. I want to have something to do. I got to exist. And that's going to lead to pain. Because if you give that little I a how, now it's going to have a whole new strategy. It's going to create a whole new identity around efforting at its how. Do not make it difficult. Silence is already whole. Nothing you'll ever think is going to add anything to it. Nothing you'll ever think will enhance it or improve it. Nothing you'll ever think, no thoughts that you want to cherish, no idols that you might still be holding on to will in any way expand silence and infinity beyond what it already is. So let's just all take a collective sigh. Oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And this forever expanding consciousness is the cool bit. Because gone is the energy of needing to know, the separate little I that's just trying so hard to get it. Finally, when that little part of your mind recognizes its infinite fulfillment comes in resting into a wholeness that's already present, you just get to be the front row for this ever-expanding expression of consciousness. Waiting eagerly for how will I be blown away today. Oh, that feels great. So look within honestly. You might simply drop the pebble in your pond to your guides. Am I absolutely and wholly committed to being awake now? And if you get back an answer no, then I would certainly suggest you follow that up with, well, then I need to know where I'm not so that I can choose again. So that you can be resting moment to moment in that absolute whole, because when you're WHOLY, it'll get HOLY pretty quick. So, and you make your own choice about teachers. He's going to talk about it a little bit more on the next couple slides. I mean, there's a lot of energy out there of, you got to do meditation practices just so, you got to count rosary, all kinds of crazy stuff. If you want to go down those pathways, you're free to, but I assure you they end in a dead end called pain. Your choice. Because would you rather, I just think it's so funny that God determines what the truth is, and then we come up with all kinds of strategies to arrive at what's already true. And then we compare how we arrived at that strategy, whether it's A Course in Miracles or A Way of Mastery or whatever else, and we're like looking at the people who didn't do it that way, and then we want to make comparisons. None of that matters at all. The truth is still true for every one of us, and there's not a one of us in this room who has not made thousands of idols that we bowed to. So if there are others who have not quite completed their checklist and they're bowing to idols and they're following teachers that do all, so be it. They're free and sovereign. When they've checked off everything on their list, they'll find the simple, straight, and narrow pathway, as we have. So do you remember everything that you're doing, you are doing as Christ? When you're efforting, you might go, gosh, I'm Christ already. I wonder why I'm efforting at this. I'm Christ right here, sitting in a chair, remembering the truth of what I am. This is kind of easy. Maybe I'll just rest into this and give the mind that's trying to figure it out a break. Because it's never going to know. You're never going to understand your way into the kingdom or queendom.
Be you therefore not distracted, for in the end of this age there is coming forth a whole smorgasbord of those who profess to be teachers of enlightenment, who will guide you into all knowledge. Look carefully and see. Do they demand of you that you follow them? Do they demand of you that you give up your own discernment? Or do they egg you on to look deeper within? What are you feeling? What do you think? What do you want to do? Are you willing to accept responsibility for the effect? What do you believe? What do you want? You are free. I am equal to you. I'm just in the role as a temporary guide for you, and someday you'll be far beyond me. How do they speak? What do they teach? Is there fear filtering into their words? Do they believe that they must teach you to control the forces of nature, the forces of the mind? Do they teach you to protect yourself against evil? There are many, and there will be many more. And when you hear these things coming from them, turn and flee from their presence, for you do not need them. You are already beyond them. Ask only, how can I extend my treasure this day?
There's a whole lot of this out there already. An awful lot of it. Yeshua has told me more than once that you'll know the true teachers of the second coming by their humor, by their non-seriousness, by their non-efforting at it, by their non-demanding ways. You guys make your own discernment about that, whether it's as it relates to the teaching that comes through me or anyone else. But the greatest teacher is the Christ that's already within you. Already there. All wisdom is already there. All the guidance to every teacher, every question that could be asked is already within you. The greatest gift I or any other authentic teacher can give you is that you are the life, the truth, and the way already. And to help you be willing to come to trust that and follow that that's already within you. Because, there's plenty of spiritual teachers who have been led right off of cliffs themselves and taken a lot of followers with them. So I would encourage you to no longer be a follower, but actually embody that which you are. And then you may or may not be guided to extend it in the way that I have. I can assure you, getting up in front of people like this and being in one of these seats provides a whole new context of awakening opportunities that you have no other way to experience unless you're in this kind of position, this kind of role. But I'm grateful because I get to rely ever deeper on tuning in and letting love guide every step. It's a lot of fun. But this question, how can I extend my treasure this day? It's subtle, but if you're willing to open, in that one sentence is the Christ acknowledging they have the entire kingdom to extend. How can I extend my treasure? It's at first an acknowledgement and a claiming the truth of what you are and that you already have all to share. That's cool. And then you simply ask the question, and you don't answer from your own, I think I'll go, whatever. You listen. You're acknowledging, I and the Father are one. All that the Father is given to me that I might extend it and extend the kingdom or queendom. So how may I extend my treasure and claiming it as the Christ's treasure? I and the Father are one. And the cool thing is, when you authentically claim this as yours, you'll never give a gift except to yourself. Every gift that would ever move through you will be given only to yourself. And because you're claiming it as the one Christ, you'll only be extending it to yourself. And then you'll recognize why giving is better than receiving. Because giving's really all we can do. You receive in the act of giving. Giving is its own receiving. So let that pebble drop in that you're acknowledging, I am awake as the Christ I am. I'm acknowledging, how may I extend my treasure this day? And you never know what's going to come. Maybe it'll be like Rosie Marie, and it's like, get some friends together and go dance crazy downtown. And we had a big time doing that, didn't we? And we extended a treasure, we extended joy, we extended things that we didn't even have an idea that we had to give. And each one of us that participated in that were blown away by our own inner experience, not to mention the smiles and the waves and the acknowledgments that we got from everyone else. Our inner experience was so rich, I would do it again whether nobody was, whether nobody honked or smiled or laughed or anything else. Isn't that just cool? So you're already enlightened. We use our enlightenment to create our misperception and our games of unenlightenment. That's why in the Course he said, seek not for love. That can't be taught. Your I am that you already are can't be taught. Just get rid of that which is your own misperceptions so that you can rest into this. There came a point where Jeshua said, we had a big picture of Jeshua, and of course we had an altar and all kinds of, knick-knack, spiritual paddywhack kind of stuff. And he said, give it all away. And I remember taking some of that stuff and giving it to friends, and they just were like, oh my God, like it was a sacrilege. He said, you are the life, the truth, and the way. It is that which is within you, the altar of your very own Christed self within. And that altar goes with you wherever you go, and has been with you wherever you think you've been. Worship only there, and you will worship yourself and the Creator at the very same time. So you might look and see, do I still have some trappings around my house that maybe it's time to let go and acknowledge that I've just projected some of my own Christedness and given it to a symbol out there. Maybe I'll just take my Christedness back and let the neutral symbol go. Your choice. But these are beautiful questions, by the way, whether you're hearing them from a teacher, but they're great for you to ask yourself, your inner guru. How are you feeling? What's really going on with me? What do I truly think? What is it I truly want? Because that inner discernment is your responsibility. No teacher can give you that. So these are cool questions to simply ask yourself and remind yourself you're already free. What are you doing with your freedom? What are you choosing to create from within your infinite context, your infinite creatorness already?
And lay up treasures where moth and dust cannot corrupt. That is where time and materiality and the body and the world cannot hook you, but rather lay up treasures which are in heaven, forgiveness, peace, unlimitedness, recognition of your unlimited power, which brings you joy and puts a smile upon your countenance. Lay up for yourself these treasures, and all things shall be added unto you. For there is a way of being in the world that requires no planning or striving, though to enter it does require the relinquishing of fear. To enter it requires a commitment to teaching only love, until the mind is again whole and undivided. There is a way of being in the world that isn't here at all. The body still abides. Yes, you still act just like everybody thinks you act. That is, they know your name, they know where you live, you know which car you're supposed to drive, and you know who you go home to at night. But through it all, there is pervaded in your consciousness a transparency as you look upon all things. And whatever feelings arise, come and go. But somehow you begin to recognize that you are much larger than the things that come and go, that you are watching a dance of shadows, a dream gently passing by, that is gone in a cosmic split second. This has not become a way in which you deny your experience, but it gives you the freedom to embrace it and live it totally, with passion, with purpose, with power, and in perfect freedom. No anxiety, no pressure, just the willingness to dance in the world of dreams while remaining awake.
So treasures which are in heaven. Remember earlier in the lesson he shared the kingdom of heaven is choice. It's not a place. It's not anywhere you go. It's your very state of being. So he's lay up your treasures by using the power of your consciousness, your I amness and choice to master forgiveness, to master peace, to master unlimited recognition of your unlimited power. You can do that right now. Right now. And in every moment of now. If you're not doing that, recognize you're using your power to do something else. You're doing your unlimited power to continue playing your game of I'm not good enough and I'm never going to get it, which is not the most effective use of our unlimited power. But that's how sometimes we've chosen to do it. So what are you using the power of your consciousness and the power of your choice to lay up in your own being? Perfect peace or disturbance? He's going to shift gears a little bit when we get down into this third paragraph, but I'm going to finish number 2 first. It does require the relinquishing of fear. And fear comes in all kinds of disguises. Doubt, judgment, unworthiness, the whole thought system of past and future. All of that gets tied up in fear. And it requires that you let all that go that is the basis of how the little thinking mind, the little self or the ego, perpetuates itself. So if you're wholly committed, which is what he says you must be, then we must abandon the thought system of fear, the thought system of the ego. But then he goes on, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there, sometimes by spiritual teachers who are trying to create their enlightenment rather than actually living it, that you know what? The world's still here. It's not like all of a sudden you just see balls of light zipping around. And that the body still abides. There are a whole lot of people seeking enlightenment because they think, bam, it's just like in an instant, the body's going to disappear. And then they use the fact that the body is still present to mean, oh, I'm not an infinite creator and I'm not enlightened. Yet more trickery. You still act just like everybody thinks you act. You still act like everyone thinks you act. You've always been acting like everyone thinks you act. But you no longer give a shit. Before, you were very deeply invested in how everybody thought you acted. So you continue to be, but you are no longer attached to their illusionary thoughts. And this is subtle, but it's really, really important. How they think you act. That's all you're doing with anyone, is attaching your thoughts to what you think their behavior is. But awake, it's not to say you don't give a shit, almost gives it too much value. You really don't even waste your time not giving a shit. Does that make sense? Because it's nothing. You know they're absolutely dream thoughts running through their consciousness, which, by the way, one day you could be holy to them, and the next way you could be the biggest ego, spiritual ego they've ever seen. Neither one of those are true. It don't matter. So you stop chasing the effort to manipulate what you think other people think. Because in abandoning what you think, you abandon what you think everybody else thinks is having any value. You know your name and you know where you live. I've seen people, it appears as though they're living in some kind of distorted mystical state where they no longer can function. I mean, I've had some pretty powerful mystical states. I've had some extended periods of disorientation. But usually there's a kernel in there somewhere of trying to get away from this realm. And it gets masked in this, oh, I can't function in the world any longer. I can't deal with negative energies. I can't be in this place or I can't be in that place. I can't. Still got some work to do there to go all in. They know where they live, they know which car they're supposed to drive, and they know who they go home to at night. You know, I've heard people say, well, if you love everyone, why are you still married? How is it that we make an intuitive leap from you wake up into the oneness of everything, and then all of a sudden the relationship that you're in is just meaningless and you're like supposed to sleep with everybody because you love everyone equally? I mean, I get those crazy kind of questions. Our egos will come up with some really stupid stuff. But through it all, there is pervaded in your consciousness a transparency as you look upon all things. And that transparency is dynamic, and it is frigging cool. You see immediately and consistently that you see only yourself. And you see through everything that is not of the big self to the infinite mind behind it all. And I'm not saying the body's eyes are still going to report the same thing. That's not to say you can't see auras and you can't see other stuff. But it's not as though the senses stop functioning. They function as they always have. Quite honestly, mine have even upgraded. Vision's enhanced, hearing's enhanced, all kinds of sensory stuff actually gets improved. It's not diminished in any way. So, part of the point he's pointing at here is, again, there's no sacrifice. You don't lose anything. Rather, he gets to it in this last paragraph, you get the freedom to be fully here. To live this life and this experience without fear. Somebody asked me one time at a Course in Miracles meeting, well, if you're awake, why are you still here? Well, there's nowhere else to go. I'm in God's mind and I can't get out. There's nowhere else to go. There is no place out there with golden paved streets. Heaven is an experience of being which you're free to create wherever you may seem to be experiencing yourself throughout time and space. So you don't deny your experience. You don't deny that you're experiencing a body. You don't deny anything. Because if you're still denying something, you're pushing apart, you're trying to push some aspect of creation away. But he gets to it here, feelings arise and they come and go. But you begin to recognize that you are larger than the things that come and go, and you're watching a dance of shadows. So that part of your mind which has been ego vigilant, ooh, that thought's an ego thought. And then you got to plaster a whole course lesson on it because that thought shouldn't be present. You just kind of relax back into your consciousness and you let them come. They're going to go. You just kind of laugh at them as they go by. Gone is all this effort and energy into trying to manipulate the mind. Gone, oh, you know what? A feeling of pain arises. Oh my God, I must have some horrible thing in my mind and I've got to figure out what that is. And you just be with it. And chances are in a couple minutes it's just going to go away. You relax into letting the experience of creation come. All of it. You're gone trying to chase joy. You recognize your joy comes because you can be present with all the energies of this realm. And you don't fear them. You're not pushing them away. You're not craving them. You can just simply be present with whatever comes. And without jumping on the identification train with it. That's where great peace comes. Not because you've managed to manipulate your mind in such a way. The mind will grow increasingly quiet when you back up from it. And you no longer are energizing it with more energy. And when a feeling can come and you don't immediately go into some spontaneous, oh my God, I've got to be doing something wrong because a feeling is present. Because many people think, oh my gosh, I won't have thoughts. I won't have feelings. Well, how much fun would that be? You will rather be open to all of them with great joy and great innocence. So all the efforting to get it right can simply fall away, and you can rest into pure awareness, which, by the way, has been letting it all happen effortlessly anyway. So your identity kind of shifts. In the Jeshua's pathway, the course of love, he calls that the heart rather than the thinking mind. Embrace it, live it totally with passion and purpose, with power and perfect freedom. No anxiety, no pressure, just the willingness to dance in the world of dreams while remaining awake. Dance in the world of dreams. That was fun. We did that downtown, wasn't it, Rosa Maria? Dance in the world of dreams, not running away from the world. It's rather incarnating the Christ right here. With all the things that are pretty, with all the things that seem ugly.
For those of you that are hearing this message in a consecutive manner, if indeed you've been putting your 5 minutes into practice, you are already carrying yourself closer and closer, or perhaps more and more deeply, into the transparency I'm describing for you. And that transparency grows to a point, you might think of it as a critical mass, when suddenly you as a being can no longer even hold the thought of yourself as a body in space and time. And then the body simply dissolves away. And your consciousness will never experience the limitations of the body again. But you will bring the joys that bodily experience taught of with you. For they are imprinted in your consciousness forever. This earth is a beautiful place, but it is a pale reflection only of the radiant, transcendent beauty of the good and the holy that pervades my Father's creation. Love it, embrace it, thank it, but do not cling to it. Learn then to teach only love. And now, by way of building on what you've been doing, we would simply ask you to add this very simple practice. When you sit in your chair for 5 minutes, abiding as Christ, remembering the truth that has set you free, begin to ask yourself the simple question, this day, how can I extend my treasure? How can I add to that which I am storing up in heaven of my consciousness? Immediately you'll begin to get pictures. An old friend who needs a phone call, someone to write a letter to. It could be something as simple as picking up your cat, placing it upon your lap, and seeing all of infinity in that living being, and feeling the joy that comes as you run your hand along its fur. It could be something as grand as going to your Washington, D.C. in order to send a blessing to your president. It doesn't matter what it is, because that voice of love will be guiding your actions. It may be as simple as turning to your spouse and saying, you know, I appreciate you. That's all. Whatever it is, let that day not fade away until that action is accomplished, or at least set into motion.
So there are many, many stages of awakening. Many people think the point of awakening is to get rid of the body. If you're holding that in your consciousness, you've already missed the point. It's not to get rid of the body, it's rather to enfold the body and all of its experiences in your infinite beingness. Because I can assure you, in heaven, they're not sitting around. I mean, Jeshua and all the other awakened masters aren't sitting around bitching about their experience when they had those lousy-ass bodies. And he talks about the earth is a beautiful place. He doesn't say the earth is an illusion. He's talked about the world and the universe that you've created within your own perceptual mind is an illusion. There's a big difference. There's a very big difference. So you see, there's no edge to this. There's something bad about the earth. There's something bad about the dream of separation. There's something bad about the bodies. There's not any of that. There's not any pushing away of anything anymore. That's when true peace can come. So if you do happen to be one of the ones that the body just dissolves, like in this lifetime, well, hallelujah for that. Ride that, I think for Ezekiel or whatever it was called, the chariots of light. But that's not the point. But if you're pushing towards that, you're missing the absolute richness of what this experience is. Because you can awaken and have the richness of the experience rich without the fear. You can eat what you choose to eat without the fear that, oh my gosh, the body's going to get sick if I eat this. You can be present with whatever's happening without the need to rush out and fix it. You can live moment to moment, extending your treasure, which is non-judgment and peace. You can let the world be what it is. You can let those who are dreaming dream. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but do you like being woken up when you're in the dead sleep? Pretty uncomfortable. We tend to wake up pretty cranky, don't we? There are a lot of people in the world that are still sleeping. So be it. Nobody's going to sleep forever. So will you get to the point, and if you're not there now, if you're still holding resentment about your bodily experience, are you willing to move to the point where there's nothing but gratitude? And Jeshua said, for me, and I've heard him mention it through JM before, a litmus test is you know it's healed when you have nothing but gratitude for what you experienced. Gratitude. That's a joyful Christed step beyond neutrality. We can go from judgment to neutrality, but there's gratitude when we enfold it in the fullness of our being as wholly self-created. I dreamt the dream of separation. I made these choices. I called all these other beings to me so I could play out unworthiness. And it was very, very good. And my infinite being is rich with experience and rich with joy for what it's been through. So you'll know it's healed when you can look on it with authentic gratitude. And we all know the difference between fake gratitude and authentic gratitude. So if you don't have authentic gratitude about it, great. You got some joyful forgiveness work to do there. But then you become grateful for everything that is or could ever come. Imagine your state of being resting in gratitude for whatever may come, rather than being in the state of fear we perpetually tend to look at the future with. And you give up trying to create that from your little tiny body mind. Because that's what's going to create fear in the future, because you've already blocked out infinity and you're trying to, create your future from your little tiny thinking mind. It's already going to be inherent in fear. Whew. When you sit in your chair for your 5 minutes of abiding as Christ, and this is the foundational thing, if you're not consciously taking the time to do that, you think, how's it going to happen? Is it going to come from somewhere else? Can someone else sit in 5 minutes of abiding as Christ for you? You're going to end up enjoying your 5 minutes and wanting to do more and more and more. And it'll come that, you abide as Christ driving the car, you abide as Christ making your tea, you abide as Christ with everyone that you're talking with, and you just never leave that state of consciously abiding as Christ. But this thing about how may I extend my treasure? And then you listen. Gone is any fear of what you might hear. Gone is any fear of what you might see. And you just listen. Rosie and I have been doing this together. It's fun. We don't know what's going to come. That's the joy of it. And we know what will come will be a joyful experience, because we're past all that other stuff. Whew. And it's not, all of a sudden you're Christ's superhero and you're going to fly and you're going to, go and to the Fukushima nuclear plant and with the snap of the fingers turn all those molecules into crystals or something. It's a whole lot simpler than that. It's a whole lot more basic. There's incredible richness in the absolutely ordinary and mundane when you recognize it's not ordinary and mundane. It's the presence of God itself, and you'll never understand it. It's mysterious, and it's been staring you in the face the whole stinking time. So if you're waiting for some, if your imaginary, illusionary thought system has set like some mythical awakening hurdle way up here, that I must be able to levitate things, then I'll know I'm awake. Come on. It's a lot simpler than that. Cindy, I appreciate you. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you.
So you see, the great question is, am I willing to trust the flow from my Father's mind through my own as that which empowers me to extend my treasure? Yes, it does mean living unlike the way the world lives. Yes, it does mean going against the grain. And you may seem to need to apply more energy to it at first, as you get the momentum of your mind to turn in another direction, to shake loose all the sludge that has settled into your consciousness. But I can promise you, if you will take up such a path, simply, joyfully, gently, patiently, the end of your journey is certain. If you choose a path filled with magic and many complex strategies, the end is not so certain. The way is easy and without effort. I am already that which I seek. I need only allow it to guide me. And while this body lasts, I will allow it to be a communication device that extends the treasure of perfect love, perfect safety, and perfect peace to all who enter my house. And your house is your field of energy, the expanse of your presence.
Your house is your field of energy. He's going to talk about it later in this pathway where you take divining rods and you can actually start to think really negative thoughts. I'm unworthy, I'm a piece of shit, God hates me, whatever. And you can take that divining rod and actually measure where your aura or your energy field stops. And then, turn on a dime, you can begin to think, I and the Father are one, really loving thoughts, and whoo, it will immediately expand. I did this with my friend Marion out in the front yard the other day, and she was just shocked. She went from really, really tight to big enough to hold this whole room effortlessly in the expanse of her presence. Why do you think that's why we all feel so good when we're here? Because we tend to all let go and expand, and we feel each other's love. We feel each other's presence. We know we are in an expanded state of consciousness. Really, really cool. But you'll come to find out, as Jeshua said a long time ago, my Father's house has many kingdoms, because you begin to wake up that the Father's presence is your presence. Your presence no longer seems to be localized and being a starting point of this, but rather it has no beginning or end or starting point or end point. And anything that comes in the field of your awareness, whether that awareness seems to be limited by the physical senses or your ever-expanding, transparent inner awareness, all of this will be arising within your field, within your house. And damn, has our Father got a big house. That's the fun of being awake and beginning to play in those inner fields without running away from this one. But it does take some effort. It does take vigilance to turn your mind in a different direction. Sometimes one of the hardest things we do is give up all our egoically created strategies to undo the ego. Some of the hardest things we do is put down A Course in Miracles, or put down all the Band-Aid thought-based strategies that we've created to try and help us become what we already are. Those sometimes can be hard to shake off because we've made an idol out of those. But I promise you, he says, if you will take up such a path simply, joyfully, gently, and patiently, gone is the effort, gone is the push, gone is the urgency, gone is all that. The end of your journey is certain. So when you welcome resting in the certainty, when your mind insists that it's not certain, that's a chance to be peaceful. That's a chance to allow. But this is really the question. Am I willing to trust the flow from my Father's mind through my own as that which empowers me to extend my treasure? And that everybody has to walk that on their own. We'll begin to trust, and then we'll begin to trust deeper, and we'll begin to trust deeper, and we'll begin to trust deeper. And at some point you'll know when you've passed a critical threshold, because you will abandon reserving the right to say yes or no to what drops in. Because if you're looking, there's a little bit of suspicion about, oh, I'm not sure if that was my Father's mind or if that was the ego. I'm not sure. I don't know. Father, what would you have me do? No, I don't think so. What else would you have me do? No, not that one either. What else would you have me do? Because you're fishing for something it is that you want. But you'll know you've passed an important threshold when you stop reserving the right to choose for yourself. When you stop reserving the right to pick for yourself. When you stop reserving the right to say, I want to extend my treasure the way I want to do it. And you begin to rest into. And usually that stage, it's kind of like 1 foot in heaven and 1 foot out of heaven. And it can be a little bit neurotic because, Yeshua used a bridge for me that here's the kind of ego world and on the other side is heaven. I wore that bridge out, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I recognized finally my mind, I wanted to grab heaven and drag it over to my little kingdom. That's what I wanted. I wanted the power of God's love. I wanted the purpose of God's love. I wanted the peace of God's love, but I wanted it in my little fiefdom. And if you look, we probably all have that energy in there. Ooh, I get God's abundance. Not so much. You get to extend God's abundance. You get to be one with that and let it move through you. Remembering that God's wills for you is perfect happiness. So, those are some important clues if you choose to use them. I am already that which I seek. I need to only allow it to guide me. So next time you enter a spiritual practice, or you pick up something to study, or you go to listen to this lesson for the umpteenth time, are you coming from, I already am that which I seek? Or is that energy coming from, I don't believe I am? Just notice. I need only allow it to guide me. You might be willing to give it a little more trust because it's got you in this room. It's got you on this pathway. It's begun to fill your life with a whole lot of other people who are doing the same thing. I mean, it's not like you're just Johnny-come-lately if you're at this point. There's a whole lot to trust. There's a whole lot on which you can already look back at your life 5 years ago and go, I don't even recognize myself 5 years ago. So even in the presence of what can be a whole lot of doubt about our guidance, look at how effective it's been. You might want to give more emphasis to that than what might still be present in doubt.
And lastly, we would suggest that you do this, especially those who will be engaging this process in a consecutive monthly manner, to do this until the time of what you call your Christmas celebration. Toward the end of your 5 minutes, look at yourself from within your mind's eye, as though from the last Christmas until this, you have journeyed around a circle. You've journeyed through many astrological houses, many influences of energy. You have engaged yourself in relationship with countless brothers and sisters. You've had thousands of visions and dreams and revelations come to your consciousness. You have had umpteen million opportunities to be disturbed and lose your peace. You have been like a sojourner, the prodigal son who has gone out through the realms of human consciousness, and now you see yourself completing the circle. From the time you first hear this, count the days until what you call your 25th of December, and let each day be seen as a step, a pilgrimage, a completion of a very ancient circle. Let each day be one in which you reaffirm your commitment to releasing everything unlike love in yourself, so that as you come to your December 25th, you will dedicate yourself to being prepared for it.
If you haven't started this, you got tonight. You got tonight to get ready. I could feel out there just a hint of energy around the sojourner, the prodigal son. Just replace it with the prodigal one. Get past all gender. Get past all bias about bodies and the world. Just consider yourself the prodigal one. Because that in truth is what we all are. We were the one before we got prodigal and decided, ooh, let's even do feminine and masculine. That'll be a cool split. We sure can't know our oneness if we're in separate bodies. We're all that prodigal one. But that one little shift can be a powerful, powerful little thing. So I don't know how many of you have been doing this, but he's really kind of asking you to almost reminisce a little bit and recognize consciously, I'm coming to the end of the journey. I'm coming to the end of this year. Can I already move into a state of appreciation, a state of gratitude, a state of certainty, rather than still thinking I've got to beat everybody else across the finish line. Or if I don't get across the finish line, gosh, I'm getting old and I'm just not going to make it. Whatever that may be. He's asking you to recognize you're completing a circle. And he's making the symbol here of a year. But if you feel into the deeper meaning of this, from your Christmas celebration, from your creation to this day, oh, how long we have journeyed. Oh, how far we have done. Oh, how we have created. And it is very good. So you're welcome to look at it as a calendar year, or you're welcome to look at it as your entire sojourn from your creation to your awakening back to your full creation. So you can look at it through the mind's eye as you relate to the body, or through the mind's eye as you relate to your infinite and vast eternal beingness. We've had umpteen million opportunities to be disturbed and lose our peace. And awakening or not, there's not a magic wand that all of a sudden the opportunities stop coming. But what happens is you stop regretting their presence. You rather welcome every one because it is another opportunity to extend your treasure and lay up gifts for yourself in heaven. You welcome every single opportunity because it's an opportunity to practice. Father, how might I extend my treasure in this moment? So it's not like you get to, you just kick back and all of a sudden the further you go into God, the greater your need for vigilance. But the greater joy and the greater willingness you take to that vigilance. Does that make sense? Because there's some misconception that, like you just you wake and you don't have to do anything anymore. Well, you're still a ceaseless creator. You still have infinite potential and infinite power. Will you continue to be vigilant for that so that you lay up ever greater awareness of your infinite self in the heaven of your own consciousness? So the more you awaken, the more light, the more power that comes, the greater the vigilance. So what seemed like a burden when you first started to watch your thoughts and realized the ego was whooping your ass, let all that become the joy of being present with what is. Let every one of those be the joyful presence of allowing creation to be what it is and to be at peace with it. No longer needing to push against it and change it. So tomorrow, the prodigal one's coming home. He's going to give us the little practice. So reaffirm your commitment to releasing everything unlike love in yourself. And please don't fall in the trap, either already or because we're having this initiation tomorrow, that nothing remains unlike love in your being. I don't know what remains unlike love in my being because I don't know what I don't know. But I'll be vigilant for it when it arises, and I'll be joyful to see it. So it's not that this is ever done. It's not a finish line, it's really a beginning point.
And on December 24th, you will go to bed early enough and in quiet and in prayer, so that you can awaken before the first rays of the new day come to caress the earth. And you will take yourself out of doors, even if you must bundle up the body, and you will make haste to a place of vision, a place where you can look out over wherever you live, and let that represent your ability to look out over all of creation. There, turn to face the direction of the arising sun, and go into a simple prayer. Close your eyes. Realize that you see nothing through the physical eyes anyway. Stand with the arms at the sides and the palms open. Breathe deeply into the body. Relax the mind, and begin simply to say within yourself, Death has occurred, and now the birth of Christ is at hand. Father, I accept fully your will for me, and your will is only that I be happy and use time to extend my treasure. And now I receive the warmth of your light and your love. And then merely stand and wait and receive the warmth of the light. For rest assured, even if the skies are cloudy, as the sun arises, there is a change in the energy of the air. And if you're quiet, you can feel how it begins to affect the energy sphere of your awareness and of your body. Drink that solar energy in through every cell of your body. Drink it in until you feel your very spinal column warmed. And when the whole body, from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes and down through each finger, is filled with light, then gently open the eyes of Christ and let yourself see a new world, a new creation, a new beginning. Now the journey to the kingdom is over, and the journey within it can begin. Graduate school is just around the corner.
Graduate school? Damn, my mind told me I'd be over. It wouldn't be no more school. We continue. It's always now we begin. So death has occurred. The only death that can ever occur is the death of a self that never really existed. The death of a psychological thought system, perception, body, mind, ego, I-ness. Father, I accept fully your will for me. Fully. Gone is little willingness. Gone is window shopping. All in. And your will is only that I be happy. Now, if any of us had mastered happy as body-mindness, we wouldn't be in this room. So it's just a little clue to not run back and think the body-mind getting what it wants is the happiness that he's talking about here. That I, as the Christ I am, as the infinite creator, be happy. And that's in ceaselessly receiving the Father's love. Not in, when I get that room decorated kind of thing. That's not to say you still won't decorate a room if you choose to. But I receive the warmth of your light and your love. There's a beautiful course lesson. I am sustained by love. Your I amness is sustained by the warmth and the radiance and ceaseless lighting it by God's love. So you can rest into that. So for those of you who are going to be there tomorrow, it is going to be cold. It's going to be very cold, like 19 degrees. So please bundle up. We will have these instructions at the site, so you don't need to try and memorize this tonight. But your practice starts tonight before you go to bed. Be really conscious and present. If your mind has created a whole bunch of expectations about what may or may not happen tomorrow, what you want to have happen or not happen, just set all that aside. And simply be willing to go, I don't know what's going to happen. And just be present with what it is. And then look with the open eyes of Christ on a new world, a new creation, and a new beginning. This is very sexy stuff.
So, your instruction is given. And to those of you that may hear these words in some distant time frame, the same truth applies. Listen well to what has been given, for we have been stepping into some very simple but very powerful initiations that were once given to me as I, too, awakened to the reality that only Christ dwells within me. And with that, beloved friends, we will bring this hour to a close. Listen well to all that has been shared. Do not take it and shall we say, lightly, although it is only filled with light. Consider well each phrase, each sentence, and even the pauses between the words. for in those silent pauses, revelations can come. And it is time to birth fully the presence of the peaceful Christ within you. And when you journey back down to your home on that December 25th morning, do something that celebrates your birthday, not mine, yours. I can handle taking care of my own celebration. And then be joyous and celebrate in whatever way you wish. And know that the new age, the new day, has dawned. And never again will you ever be able to convince yourself that there is an excuse for believing in anything that is less than an enlightened, Christed consciousness. Peace then be unto you always, and always I am with you. Amen.
Well, we already are in some measure of a distant time frame since this was given. But boy, there are a whole lot of people that are going to join us. Nook Sanchez has got a group in Santa Fe that's going to be joining us. There's some folks down in Florida that'll be joining us, friends up in Minnesota that'll be joining us, friends in New Hampshire that'll be joining us. And those are just the ones of us who still have bodies. There'll be many, many, many friends joining us. It is time to birth fully the presence of the peaceful Christ within you. It always has been within you. It's just waited on your welcome. We get to let go of all that unenlightenment, all that of the ego. So next week, if you decide to come back, because graduate school starts, you get to take a week's vacation maybe. But on New Year's Eve, I guess it will be. Won't that be next Tuesday? If you want to celebrate New Year's Eve as a meditation into the heart of Christ, won't be any ball dropping. Might be a bunch of revelations drop in. But you're welcome to come join us for a meditation into the heart of Christ next week. Any questions or comments? And for those of you who are coming with us tomorrow morning, I'm going to talk a lot more about that after I do announcements. Questions, comments, anyone? Cool. If you're interested in quickening your journey of remembrance, it's fun to hang out together. You're welcome to Skype me or call or actually come and be in person. It's an awful lot of fun to join in the remembrance of the truth of what we are. Interested in One Who Wakes doing a plurk shop or attending one of our retreats, there's more info on our website. Love offering. One Who Wakes is a 501c3, so all your donations are now tax deductible, be they small or big or medium or whatever. We welcome them all. If you're here, please consider making a donation. The basket's on the other side of the fireplace. If you're watching this online now or in some distant time in the future, please go to onewhowakes.org. In the upper right-hand corner is a Give button. You can click that and make a PayPal donation online. I can feel the gratitude and the excitement in the room for this pathway and for the communion and community that we have in sharing in one desire, in one purpose. That's the whole point behind this. I'm very grateful to my brother for channeling this pathway, both Jeshua and my brother J.M., through whom he channeled it, and my joy to be able to extend it to you and join with you in our one remembrance. We love you with an absolutely infinite love and a perfect peace. Blessings and a joyful good night, and we'll see you tomorrow morning in the cold.